Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be talking about all the state quarter errors and varieties and cherry picker items that you want to be looking for. I've done similar videos in the past, and this one actually has a little bit more than all of the attributed. It's all of the attributed ones by the major grading companies, talking about all the different varieties, and then there's also a few smaller kind of fun collector ones that are worth less, or they're not worthless, they're worth less, and I just figured I would throw them in there. There's like a Delaware, Arizona coin, you'll see. But the reason is I hadn't ever done a complete one that focuses on all the ones that are being attributed, so that's why I made this video. I've got clear photos of the errors, I'll walk you through them, and then there's also values listed beneath that I'll briefly mention for each of the coins, so that you've got the full equipment and information going into hunting these state quarters. There's also a territory quarter, DC quarter, that'll be important too. Don't forget about that one, but let's get right to the presentation. Our first quarter today is more of one of the errors that's not going to be super significant, and it's not going to be recognized by a grading company, more just something to be on the lookout for. It's the Delaware spitting horse, and basically there's just a die crack that runs out of the horse's mouth, and it's going to be worth maybe $10 to $25 for a mint state, and not too much if it's even a little bit circulated. After that, we have one of the largest and most well-known ones. There's actually two errors here that we'll be covering, but this is the low leaf 2004D Wisconsin State Quarter, and there's a large corn on the back, but this entire leaf that protrudes outside of this super large thick one that's kind of to the left of the corn, the leftmost, I guess, and the lowest leaf on the left, if it's there, will be worth about $60 in AU53 and then $80 to $125 in mint state. I remember back when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, this was a super expensive variety. It's kind of come down a little bit, but it's still a really cool variety if you can pick it up. There's also a high leaf variety that's slightly rarer and more expensive, where it's not like low, it's high. That's really the only way to explain it. But AU coins are about $70, and then mint state 63 are $100 and $175, also from 2004D. The next one is another non-official attributable variety. It's the In God We Rust. Essentially, it's like a struck-through error on the T, and they're often found on the 2005 P Kansas State Quarter. They're worth between $10 and $30, so nothing crazy, but still just something fun to be on the lookout for. It pretty much looks like either the T is fully gone or the T is slightly gone, and you'll get more money if it's less visible. There's also an extra hoof, but this is on the silver proof state quarter. I figured I'd just include it. It's like the die has been damaged somehow, and it looks like there's an extra hoof in the middle of the bison, and it's worth about $300. Just a quick mention, but I hadn't heard of it before I was researching this, so just wanted to let you know. There's also a lot of different Minnesota state quarter extra tree varieties. There's like probably over 100 different ones that have been documented, but often the trees are going to be found in the positioning that I'm showing them. But this is just an example. There are three distinctly different varieties, but I think that might be something where this video more just says they're out there, you can go look for them. But maybe do a little research on your own. They're worth between $5 and $25. There are a lot of them out there, and it's tough you probably couldn't do a collection of every single one, and they're reasonably common, but they're definitely a fun starter variety if you're looking to own one. There's also 2005D, also a lot of problems with those coins here. The tree's kind of just protruding from the back. Here it almost looks like there's a full exact one, and then here it's like an extra branch. So the point is there's just so many of them out there, and they're not generally worth much more than $25 each. So it's not even really worth certifying, but still fun to delineate them. And once you have it, get it to the side and make sure that it's labeled as an error coin. After that, we have the Satin finish, and this only occurs on the Satin finish ones, but the 2005P Oregon State Quarter with extra branches, and you can see the branches. There are two different coins, but on the left is probably how it's going to present when you see it. The right is a very clear photo, but the branches kind of come out from underneath the upper branches, kind of the middle upper branches below where the rock formation is in the background, the land. But you can kind of see on both of these, it's like an extra spread below the branches, worth about $100. There's also one that's sold for $90, but they're probably essentially worth the same thing, where the actual patterning is a little bit different, but just a second version of these kind of extra branch Oregon state quarters. Then the next one is the Wyoming state quarter. This one is on 2007P. I've heard there's lots of different ones, but there's two main attributable varieties, so that's what I'll focus on. The first one has the doubling appearing kind of where the person riding the animal, I want to say bronco, but it could be a horse, could be any number of animals. But there's kind of a doubling. There's extra protrusion kind of near where the hand would be. I'm circling it with my mouse. I don't even know exactly how to describe it, but kind of above the horse's mane. I'm just going to say horse. And this is worth between $40 and $175. If you'll notice, that protrusion isn't there in the other air that's attributed. It's much different. So here it's kind of sticking out. On the second one, it's more of just a rightward spread of where the hand is going to go, and this is worth between $25 and $150. There's also a extra cactus leaf, which is basically a cud. It's going to cover the designer's initials on the 2008 Arizona State Quarter, worth between $3 and $12. So the value is not huge, but again, just I'm not going to not mention it. And then the more notable one, I think this is one of the neatest, is the DC Territory. It looks like an extra piano key. That's a double die reverse. This is worth between $50 and $100. And there's multiple manifestations. This one actually is worth a little bit less, $30 to $75, but it seems like the piano key is a little bit stronger in its presentation. But the big money one is when the ELL is strongly doubled, and there's also some key doubling, but it kind of goes downward into the keys, and you can clearly see that. The one that sold was super expensive. Mint State 65 is estimated at about $1,000. And this is a very challenging one to find, but that's really the key one to look out for. And this one is on the 2009D. So previously it was on the P, minted in Philadelphia, but the biggest error in the state quarters is going to be found on the 2009 Denver mint, double die reverse. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and get in touch with me on my website, treasuretown.yt.com, Facebook, Treasuretown, Instagram, @TreasuretownYT, or Twitter, @Treasuretown_YT, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my future vids.